What if I told you that you can enhance your videos and make them look so much more professional just by paying $20? Today we're talking about the silly term cinematic films. I think it's silly because it's being used too much and we're saying cinematic about everything. Years ago I was playing around with my GoPro and I would put these letterbox effects on and I would call it cinematic, which is obviously BS. I mean, cinematic is what you see in the movies, but then again, what you see in the movies can, or it will depend on what kind of movie you're watching. So there's no real definition of cinematic. But there are some things that will make it feel more like a professional video, more like something you would watch on TV, on Netflix, or in a movie. I remember thinking that one day I really want to make those kind of videos, the ones that I see that my filmmaker idols are making. Like, I want to be able to do that. I want to be able to create a movie scene and make it look so good that the viewer would think that he or she is watching an actual movie. There are obviously a lot of things going into making it look this way, and I would say that the biggest thing is lighting. But if you got your lighting down and you feel like you are doing everything you can to make this look professional, there might be one thing, and this one thing that you will, after watching this or hearing this, always notice in movies or TV shows.
Memory.
Just imagine shows like Sex Education or Euphoria. In the background, you will always notice that there is fog or haze. This obviously doesn't really make sense because we don't have haze or fog in our homes. So what haze is doing is that it actually makes it feel like there is more depth in the picture. After noticing this, I've realized that this is being used all the time, and you can really see the difference when using it and not. And you might be thinking, well, that's fine, but I don't have a hazer, I don't have a smoke machine, I don't have anything to get this effect in my background. And yeah, you probably don't, but neither do I, but I still use this effect all the time. In some cases, you might not be able to use your hazer even if you have one. Like last week, when I was filming Matilda in the movies, we were not allowed to use a hazer because this could affect the fire alarm, and you really don't want the fire alarm to go off in a big building like that. And that is where this thing comes into place. I have mentioned it before. It's the atmosphere or aerosol, and it works great. So all you have to do is spray some of this, and you'll get even more haze in the background. Combine that with a mist filter and you will get a more cinematic vibe. For this effect to really work, you need to light your scenes well. So in the case with Matilda, then we had this spotlight coming down and you can clearly see that the fog is affecting the light and you can see where the light beam actually is. If you're like me, you probably love when you can see the light beam going through some dust in movie scenes. And this is what this thing does. Another good thing about this one in terms of use is that you won't get stains on your clothes. It obviously, like I told you before, won't trigger a fire alarm, and the only issue you might face is that the floors could be more slippery after using it. One thing you have to be careful with when using this is knowing how to use it. Because if you just want it as haze, like subtle in the background, you can't use too much. If you want to have it as a smoky effect, like I used it for here, then you have to use quite a lot of it. But I do see a lot of filmmakers using this way too much, and they end up having a smoky background for just an interview. which doesn't really make sense. The fog is supposed to be subtle in cases like that. You're not supposed to really notice. I've been considering getting myself a hazer several times, and I will probably get myself one in the future, but so far this can is doing the job, and I'm super happy with it. Obviously, if you're in a very big room, you will have to use quite a lot of it for it to even work. And that is a disadvantage compared to a hazer where you can have continuously haze coming through or coming out. Because this cinematic style is really hard to define, it's hard to tell you that this and that will make it more cinematic. But there's no doubt that using a fog can or a hazer will make it more cinematic. This one in Norway costs like 20 bucks and it will last you for quite a while. Not more than one production, maybe even just one scene, but you are able to do small productions with just one of these. So I used about one can when I was filming Matilda in the movies. But then again, that was a very big room and we needed quite a lot to get the effect that we wanted. So when you taught yourself all the techniques with lighting and shadows and how to use your camera and your light in the best way, it's time to get this little can. Because that will enhance your videos and it will only cost you $20. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to this channel if you like the content that you're seeing, and until the next one. Ciao.